About 5 years ago, having been in amateur dramatics, panto and all sorts of things, I decided that it was time to have a break. And I said to the people I was working with, okay, this is my last show. I'm quite happy with that. Yes, fine. About 3 months later, I got a phone call from a cousin of mine who said, Bob, we need somebody for a panto. I said, well, I'm not really doing that anymore. He says, it's Dick Whittington. And it's Dick Whittington's dad. And I said, Dick Whittington's dad is a non-part. He says, we've written it for you. You can do ukulele songs. You can really have a blast with this, which I did. Well, we'd had a very successful panto. About 3 months later, he's in touch with me again, another show. So since I retired from shows, I've done about 21 shows altogether. And I'm rather disappointed I'm not doing any panto this year.
So what made you think that you would give it up then, Bob?
I'd watched a lot of people when I was working in the chorus of Mid Wales Opera, people who'd stayed on when their voices were going and they're not moving so well on stage because they're older. And I thought, well, when I reach a certain age, and 65 seemed to be a good cut-off point, 65, I'm going to give it up because the voice is going, bits are falling off and everything like that. I'm happy to say that hasn't been the case.
No bits have fallen off then?
Not that not that I've missed anyway.
So how important is drama and the music in your life?
It's been very important. I've had some very good experiences. I've met some wonderful people and it's satisfied quite a lot of... I think working with youngsters and trying to pass on knowledge and getting youngsters involved and seeing youngsters who are, in some cases, have a very poor home life for various reasons, and seeing them getting involved with the shows and learning a lot of social skills that they wouldn't otherwise have got. Yes, I found that part of it very satisfying.
And what sort of things do you do?
I play the guitar at a local folk club occasionally. I dress up as a pirate and play ukulele, and I've done this recently at Raglan Pirate Festival, Tramore Promenade Festival in Ireland, and one or two other places. I also go to a few medieval functions as a sort of wizardy type character. I think a lot of my life is dressing up.
And how old are you now then, Bob?
71.
Oh, is that a secret?
I'm 72. No, I'm 72. I keep forgetting.
So really, that's 7 years. So in 7 years, you ended up doing 21 shows. But on top of the 21 shows... You've done all of them? I have. I'm occasionally at the, like I said, the folk club at Lucker Boat Club. And tomorrow night I'm going down the Lucker Boat Club because they have a bluegrass get-together where people take instruments, people of different skills. And I'm not a great fan of bluegrass normally, but sorry, guys. But I like going there because it gets me an opportunity to practice. And I don't practice enough. And it's meeting new people again. So it's a little bit of a fun session. Everybody just plays all at once. What's your involvement with the Botanic Garden?
I am a volunteer up there. I have been since they opened, since before they opened, really. And I'm known as the Mad Apothecary. I look after the apothecary shop. I get to do rather silly experiments with flash papers and things like that look quite impressive for the children and the grown-ups as well. So, yes, that's the other part of my hobby. I see a lot of groups coming round the garden, dementia groups on trips and things like that. And I rather like the fact that I think they might see a kindred spirit in me because I'm of the same age as quite a lot of them, or younger than some. And they like the fact that I can talk about medicines my granny used when she was on the farm. And I've got a cabinet with medicines that a lot of people of my age group would actually recognise.
And what are they, Bob?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, Beecham's Pills, which is quite a popular one. The father of Thomas Beecham, the conductor, was actually the founder of the company. And they would have worked. They were good for digestion because they contained cinnamon and ginger and all sorts of wonderful botanic stuff. So they would have actually worked. What's the other one? Box's grasshopper ointment, which is, it's green. And the story was it had been made from crushed grasshoppers. But the story came about because there was a tradition in France of using locusts and locust juice on your wounds and things like that.
And does it work?
I don't know about the locust, but the grasshopper ointment contained eucalyptus. There were various things like that, bile beans and things like that.
And what are bile beans?
It's very much like Beecham's pills, but with a different labelling.
What other things can you tell us about the apothecary?
Oh, your crikey. Yes, Senapod, which I've got packets of. Senapod is now very popular in hospitals again. It makes you go to the toilet, and if you're having certain exploratory probes, a lot of hospitals will give you Senapod a few days beforehand to actually make sure that it's a tidy process. Iron geloids I remember from my youth, because my gran on the farm, when we townsboys went up to stay on a farm in summer, she always thought we looked pale and we were sluggish, or whatever that meant. So we'd get these iron geloids, which tasted awful, and they made your poo turn black as well. So I do remember them, and people remember them. So I've got a whole shelf full of these sorts of things.
Can you remember any other ones?
I can remember some from older times. There's an American one that was the basis of a song, Lydia Pinkham's Remedy, which was the basis of a song by a band called, I think, The Scaffold, probably in the 60s. Let's drink a drink to Lily the Pink, the Pink, the Pink, the saviour of. Well, it turns out that a lot of the stuff she was using in that medicinal compound shouldn't have been prescribed, was not very healthy, as is the case with a lot of these things. We find cocaine drops for fractious children and all sorts of nasties like this.
When would they have been used?
Cocaine was being used certainly up until 1917, regularly. Its biggest use now is for eye drops. If you're having eye drops at the opticians to ease, if he wants to put pressure and touch the eyeball, which is uncomfortable to a lot of people, they will sometimes put drops that are derived from cocaine will actually go into them. So that the medicine. Well, I'll tell you a joke thing that I got from an old chemist who's old enough to be my father, and that's saying some. And he pops in occasionally. We have a little chat and trade stories. And I'm making up some mixes of medicines that we would actually get from our physics garden. So I've got extract of yew, and I've got oils of rosemary and oils of ginger and all sorts of things that have been used in folk medicine and still used in all sorts of medicine. And he said, we used to prescribe something. If we knew the doctor, we'd get something called mist.adt. And I'd said, well, I thought I knew my chemicals. I don't know what ADT is. He says, if the doctor thinks the patient is malingering, it's called any damn thing. And he says, we used to mix it up. We'd put something like valerian in it. Valerian's a useful plant, but it tastes really awful. And something to make them go to the loo. So they'd feel... So I do have a jar marked mist.adt, mixture of any damn thing.